Okay, well, hey, welcome to another episode of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS, episode 7. All three of us are here. I'm hoping you know your hosts by now, but just in case you don't, I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Joanna.
And first, this weekend we all went to a photo shoot here in Chicago for Doctor Who, and I'd like to say we all had a great time.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
It was fun. And the weather turned out to be pretty nice. It started off a little cold.
Oh, and windy.
Yeah. So it was nice. Met a lot of good people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everyone dressed up, even my wife.
Excellent.
And most people guessed what she was on the first or second try.
Very cool.
Well, but she was excited to do it, And I was the 9th Doctor, which apparently was well needed at the photo shoot. So that was kind of nice.
Excellent.
And,
yes, it was.
Yeah, we have pictures up on our Facebook page, and I put some of the pictures up even on our website in the photo galleries. So if you want to check them out, you're more than welcome to. And I guess you guys had a good time, right? I mean, Nicole was dressed as Amelia Pond or Amy Pond. And go ahead.
I was Jackie Tyler.
Yeah.
Took me a little while, as I said, to get used to people saying Amy.
Yeah. Well, I was standing there talking to the Master, a.k.a. Phil, and the other Master, a.k.a. Ken, and Joanna. Joanna 1 and Joanna 2. Like I said earlier, it's going to be like Romana 1 and Romana... Sorry, you're Joanna 2, though. Sorry.
I totally understand.
But it took a while for me to realize they were yelling 9 at me. I'm like, what? No, oh, yeah, gotcha. I'm coming.
Well, I was completely oblivious till you were... I think you told me, you're like... They're calling for you, and then I turn. I'm like, oh yes, I am Amy.
Yeah. So it was fun. I enjoyed it, and now we know for next time we have a little better game plan of what we're gonna do. We're gonna blend in more. But anyways, everybody was great and real friendly group of people. And if you're in Chicago and you're on Facebook, you should follow their group page, which is, if I'm correct, it's the Order of the Blue Box. Is that correct, Joanna?
Is.
Yep. So definitely follow them. They're a good group of people. Mm-hmm. Some of them moonlight as Ghostbusters also.
Yes, 2 of them actually.
Yeah. Also, I'm going.
No, wait, 4 of them.
I was gonna say, isn't there like 4? There's like 3 or 4 of them that are.
4.
And actually, your friend's gonna be at C2E2 working the Ghostbuster booth, right?
Ken, Mary Jo, Jenny, and her husband.
Jenny was number 10, correct?
Yes, 10 and her husband.
Okay, I know who her husband is. Yeah,
Military Roy.
Yeah, Military Roy. I keep forgetting about the Military Roy character, but then I'm like, oh, that's right. And he did a great job. He looked just like him.
Yes.
I can't forget because he was my partner, Amy and Rory.
There were a lot of pictures of you guys together. Yeah. I definitely need to get a full-size sonic screwdriver. Granted, it's not the size of your sonic screwdriver that counts, but still. Mine has a light on it. It doesn't just make noise. But
so it's special.
Yeah. Little short bus special.
You could possibly have it at C2E2.
Well, I want to get one before that.
Yeah.
I might go. I was not going to actually go as anything to C2E2. I was just going to go. We're bringing a kid too. We're going to be there Saturday. And I wasn't going to go as anything. And then on Twitter, somebody that does like a local blog, she asked who was going to C2E2 and what you were dressing as. And I'm like, well, I'm going to C2E2, and I was thinking about dressing as a 9th. I have a 9th Doctor outfit I might put on. And she was like, oh, awesome. When are you going? We should meet up. We can take a picture together. I have 10 Rose outfits. I'm like, holy really? I'm like, 10? Wow.
She's a fantastic Rose.
Who is?
Geek Girl Chicago.
What, do you stalk me on Twitter?
Her name is Lauren.
She wasn't there Saturday, was she?
No, she wasn't.
Okay. Because I'm like, my luck, because I don't know. I mean, yeah, Oh, you follow her. That's why you knew about the... Okay, never mind. I'm like, what, are you stalking us? No. No, but she's really cool, and, she does a blog, right, if I'm correct?
Yes.
It's hard for me to keep up on it. Well, because she does a blog, and then Manali does a blog, too. And they're both, like, Geek Girl something, or it's like, they're just a little different in the naming. Mm-hmm. But,
I think the one for the Chicago area is Geek Girl Chicago.
Yeah, that's correct.
So.
But I always see just the beginning. I move too fast to read the whole thing, so I just kind of see the beginnings of stuff sometimes. Especially when I'm at work, it's hard to boss is talking about something, and I'm looking at Doctor Who things. or Ghost or whatever, you know. But no, so that'll be cool, you know. So we'll see. You know, I guess I'll be wearing that. So I was going to try making a custom hockey jersey. I know where to buy blank hockey jerseys. I was going to buy either Tampa Bay or LA, because LA's is you can get one that's got purple in it. Mm-hmm. But I'm having trouble. And if anybody out there knows where to get one, I need a full size like chest patch, something related to Gallifrey, or Gallifrey would be nice. Like I'd love to get like the old school Gallifreyan logo round. Mm-hmm. For the chest piece, and then there's a TARDIS badge I want to put on the arm, and then on the back for the number. Since I'm a big fan of McCoy, I would put 07. Like I put Doctor for the name and then 07. So I want to get that together. I just can't find the one thing I want to do it.
Yeah,
I know Ken pointed out to you that.
Yes. Where did he say though? Because you're right, I did talk to him about that.
It's on. I know it's on Facebook.
Well, he pointed out that somebody made a jersey. But it's kind of like a TARDIS jersey.
Yes.
I want mine to look like as if Gallifrey had a hockey team that played other planets.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of going for with mine. But yeah, that one actually looked really cool. I give the people credit that did that one. Yeah, Ken posted that for me, so that was cool. But anyways, enough about my ramblings. Let's get into some news, because we are going to talk about the Rings of Akhaten. Yeah,
Akhaten?
Akhaten.
I always say it wrong now too. Yeah,
it was obviously it was pronounced differently, so people would not think it was anything to do with Egypt. There's some 50th anniversary news. BBC confirmed that Gemma Redgrave is coming back. She was the Brigadier's daughter, Kate Stewart. Head of unit. Although they keep saying the head of unit science and whatever, but I thought she said she was the head of unit. And she was a scientist. Or was I wrong? I mean, isn't that what she said?
I thought she was the head of unit, but maybe...
Because she had, like, complete control and command of everybody. So she'll be back for the 50th, so that'll be nice.
It's a nice nod to the Brigadiers. I
agree. Oh, I just listened to a Big Finish audio that had the Brigadier in it.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I'll tell you, him, Peter Davison, and Sarah Sutton. It was the second Peter Davison one, so it's like from 1999. I've gone back to the beginning of the catalog, and I'll tell you, I mean, they did not miss a beat. You would never think that they were not making them. I mean, they're great. They sound great. Like you can tell the voices are a little older, but you get past that real quick. But yeah, so I agree. It's a nice nod to have. Nice nod to him, since he's no longer with us, you know. So, actually, in that Big Finish audio story, he talks about being married. And Colin, it wasn't Peter Davison, it was Colin Baker's doctor. So it was Colin Baker in the Brigadier. And they talk about it a little bit. Let's see, Freema Agyeman is not in the 50th. She said she'd be more than willing and happy to help promote it or be in anything related to it. I feel kind of sad, though. I mean... It's a 50th anniversary celebration, and it's... I don't know. Like, I'm not even sure that the Zygons are the real bad guys in that episode.
Yeah.
Because it's like you took a character that was in one episode, and you're going to make that the big 50th celebration bad guy? I don't know. And it's good that I don't know. I think they might actually pull out some surprise here and actually shock us for a change.
Well, yeah, I think they basically announced everything they couldn't hide.
I think they announced enough stuff to get people placated till it airs, or at least for a few months, or with Doctor Who fandom a few days.
And there were a few things though, like they couldn't hide, like those pictures from the filming where they're in Trafalgar Square and Tower of London. You got Matt Smith dangling from the TARDIS above London.
Yeah.
I'm like, obviously they knew there's no way you can do that in such a public place and no one mention it.
Yeah, I agree. Also, it's pretty much definite. No classic Doctors are in it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you know, 3 of them are in Australia. Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann are all in Australia right now. And none of them were approached, none of them were asked. And, you know, here's the thing. And I thought about this, and I came up with a way they could have put them in without having to worry about how they look. You could have had something happen in the TARDIS, like some weird explosion or something, and he's trying to solve a problem or he's trying to fight the bad guys or whatever, and he hears their voices in his head. Like they're there, like helping him, but not physically there. That would have been kind of neat, and you could have brought the remaining ones back.
Yeah,
and I honestly would I'd feel kind of slighted, to be completely honest. First off, Paul McGann deserves better than what he got. I mean, it was you could have at least brought him in, and I think if Eccleston had joined, they may have approached McGann then. But even then, it's like, you know what? So Eccleston didn't want to do it. Big deal. You're not going to have anything related to the classic series in this at all, other than Zygons. And is a scarf in it, supposedly?
The pictures from the set, there's like a unit scientist, and she's wearing the Tom Baker scarf.
But now, is that a picture from the set, or is that just somebody taking a picture with a scarf on?
Well, it looked like it was in a scene, but I wouldn't put anything past them, though, to
that's true.
Fake a scene with the scarf just to make people think, that it's...
Because I have a great blooper thing I put on our Facebook page from YouTube of it. One of the bloopers is a guy in full Cyberman outfit running around going wee, and it's the cyber voice. So I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I feel kind of bad that there's probably not going to be any. Because you know what, you already had images of all the old Doctors when Matt Smith regenerated. They show them all, and then he walks through, and that was really cool. And they've done so much this series to make it like a nod to the classic series without making it the classic series again. Because the classic series had character development and didn't rush the endings. But they did all that. The new TARDIS looks real similar. I found out it looks like the center column does not go up and down, by the way. I think it spins, which is cool, but okay. But they did all this work on it, and then your 50th is going to have nothing. Well,
and in the Rings of Akhaten, you have that little nod. It's the first actor.
Yeah, when he says, I was here with my granddaughter. Which now the rumor mill is rife with, Jenna Louise Coleman's his granddaughter. No, she's not, because she goes, wait a minute, you have a granddaughter? So obviously she's not it.
And we know that
not the worst theory.
No.
They could just go all out. I mean, it is Stephen Moffat. He wrote the show Coupling. You know what? Maybe River Song's his granddaughter. There you go. There you go. He was making out with his own granddaughter. And actually, on the note of snogging, as they say in England, did you guys hear that they talked to the original director of Doctor Who back in the day, and he said that he believes that the Doctor has lost his mystery because they over-explain stuff, I guess, in a sense, and that he does not believe that they should be kissing and making out and stuff.
I could kind of agree with that. I don't like when the Doctor's all of a sudden the love interest, or I kind of like him better, just the kind of odd traveler through space and time.
I think when you make the love interest thing like they've been doing, you lose the fact that he's like this mad scientist. Like I always picture him as a mad scientist, even back no matter who played him, and that's why I prefer calling them assistants, not companions, because look up the words; they both mean different things. An assistant is someone that would assist, because in the original, he was a crotchety old scientist kind of guy.
And in the Marines Bakken, Clara says, I can assist you.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
So much better.
Because when you say you're somebody's companion, you either think of something more intimate. And, the Doctor's always cared for the people with him, but not in that way necessarily. Although I think they implied there was something between Doctor Number 4 and Romana too. It was kind of implied, and there's a weird Christmas.
But it's always
then there was a weird Christmas thing where they were sitting together on the floor of the TARDIS, singing a Christmas carol, cuddling with Canine there, and I'm like, I got to look for it. I have it somewhere. I'll show it to you. It's really kind of bizarre.
But it's always kind of reading between the lines, and with Romana, that's different too. She was
a Time Lord.
Yeah. So
she was,
which I think is what you lose when you start pairing him up with these young girls from Earth. You kind of lose the fact that he's 1,000-year-old alien.
Yeah, because I have a guy I work with that he's 34, and this guy that was working for another company wanted to set him up with his daughter, who was 21 or 22. And he's like, I don't want to do it. It's just creepy and wrong. I'm like, yeah, you might as well just go meet her, see what happens. You never know. Granted, yeah, it's a big age difference. But then when you watch this, it's like, I'm 1,200 years old. How old are you? 26? Awesome. I don't know.
Because the whole idea is he's not human.
Like with Rose, they made him the love interest, but I hope not for Clara.
If they do, I mean, even Peter Purves was against it. He says he totally agrees with Hussein, saying that the storylines in the show become too complicated in recent years. You know what? They've become extremely complicated, and they don't have time to flesh them out properly. Mm-hmm. Which we talked about last week, because last week's episode, perfect example. What happened? Not last week's, the week before, the first one. Mm-hmm. I still, other than introducing great intelligence, why was he doing what he was doing?
We don't know yet.
What was the point? Why did he let all those people go? If are they trying to make this gray area bad guy where, well, he really does care about humanity, but he just needs to eat their brains? I mean, what? But then again, like you said, I guess we'll find out eventually.
I would hope.
Just like we found out why the TARDIS was exploding as the sun.
That's why I worry a little bit. I keep going, well, it'll be explained, hopefully, and then I keep going but that TARDIS exploding never explained.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little bummed that I'm not going to see any there's probably going to be references to the classic Doctors. I'm glad Tennant's back to being in. I liked how David played the character. I like Matt Smith too. But it would have been nice to have seen it, or at least heard their voices somehow. Something, Well,
because that story, they were it sounded like McCoy was actually kind of annoyed. Like he was saying that all of fandom wants them back.
They do.
Except the BBC.
And you know what the worst part is? The worst part is that McCoy was the first Doctor ever to be voted most popular Doctor other than Tom Baker. He was the only one that beat him until Tennant came along. So, yeah, McCoy is a... I don't think McCoy has any reason not to be a little upset and perturbed.
Although I think Colin Baker, they said, cracked a joke after that, well, I can see why they're not calling me back. Have you seen me?
Yeah.
I look nothing like the... And I there was a picture of him, and I'm looking, I'm like, that is true. McCoy still looks like he could...
McGann could easily.
McGann definitely could. I think with McCoy, you give him a hat, a wig...
I would have liked to have just seen a scene with McGann where, he comes to, Matt Smith and... alleviates him a little bit of the Time War thing, and it's you know what? It's not your fault. We did what we had to do. I did it, not you. Or something. Just some... or if there had just been a small scene with him and Eccleston doing something. And you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get any resolution for anything.
Unless they're all lying.
They're in Australia. What, Skyping it in?
Well, if they filmed, one scene, they could sneak them in.
They could film in Australia. I mean, they have studios.
Yes.
And they're tied pretty closely to, the rest of the UK.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the confusing part. It's they could be lying. They could be...
Yeah, I mean, they could be.
It's at the point where you go, I don't know what to believe anymore.
I really like my idea of just having their voices come back. Have them arguing in his head, even. I think that'd be hilarious. Plus, the way Matt Smith can act like he's all crazy sometimes, he can be arguing with the voices and no one else hears the voices, so they think he's nuts. I think that would have been great.
That would have been perfect for Matt Smith.
I think so. It would have been really good. Instead, of anyways. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of other news. I mean, do you guys?
I know Jenna said something about she's been dropping intriguing hints about season 7 finale, and basically Clara and the TARDIS are going to have a dialogue. And I got this from Dr. Lawnscarf, on Twitter. An intriguing statement, given the mythology of
I know who he is.
Doctor's wives.
I think. So,
were there any of those Easter eggs with the 10th Doctor when he first came along?
I don't think so. No. I guess we're kind of done with the news, right? I mean, nothing really else. I mean, there's a Doctor Who improv group that's going to be opening soon in Chicago. They're having a month-long run. I think they're called Whoprov. But, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about them yet. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, other than that, I think we can just roll right into the Rings of Akhaten, which is what we started talking about anyway. No, I don't remember anything like that with the 10th Doctor. But then again, that was Russell Davis. It wasn't Moffat either. Stafford, I almost called him. That wasn't the Moff, you know? But,
well, he always had his hidden things that were the theme for the season, like Bad Wolf or
but
the completely hammering you over the head with Torchwood. I'm saying that was his thing, to have, like, the hidden, the Vote Saxons, it was always something that he was working in there, but it never had to do with the number 10 or... Didn't seem like he had quite as many Doctor Who's either in his episodes, but...
Yeah, and that's getting irritating too. But anyways, I guess we'll just... Yeah, I don't remember that with the 10th Doctor, but yeah, Rings of Akhaten, I mean, you saw it... You know, I don't get... Well, actually, no, my Time Lord theory is completely shot. Because he went back in time and was watching her. Mm-hmm. And I don't get why he was doing that. Like, he claims that there's something special about her or something, and it's fine. But I don't understand what... I mean, stalking your new assistant... I don't get it.
Well,
why wouldn't you go... In that case, why wouldn't you go to the Starship Alaska before it crashed and see her there? And see if it's, any similar... I mean...
I did kind of wonder, because I thought he was doing that maybe to see, like, to make sure she had some kind of past, that she wasn't just, like, appearing in that moment.
Well, I guess.
But I wondered the same thing, that why didn't he do that for...
Or for the original. In that case, why wouldn't you go to the one in the olden days? Mm-hmm. Because she'd be the first one. I mean, I don't...
Yeah, I wasn't sure
really
why...
didn't get it. And when I first watched it, I really enjoyed this episode. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, what the hell was the plot of this story? And when did Disney sell off Star Wars land speeders to the BBC? Because that's what that looked like.
That's what they basically were. I read.
It's like, oh my God. At least put a little... You could tell they closed the mill, because that did not look that great either. But I mean, I can get past a lot of it. I mean, but... I don't get what the story was about. And then there's people with all these theories about how, well, they think Jenna Louise Coleman is actually Rose, because Rose had problems getting into the TARDIS, and so did Jenna Louise Coleman. Jenna Louise Coleman didn't have a key for the TARDIS. That's why the doors wouldn't open for her.
Also, he didn't fully shut it behind it.
Oh, well, I'm sure the wind or something blew it shut. But the point is, I don't think there's anything really there. I mean, maybe... But then again, if she's a dialogue with the TARDIS, maybe there's something there.
Well, they seem to build something with that, like...
The way the shot was filmed.
You had that kind of ominous-looking TARDIS, like, imposing, and then like she's like, I don't think it likes me.
Yeah. But no, I just... It was... Here's what I've noticed with a lot of the episodes this series, and even last series. It's a fun ride, but it's like... It's a fun ride, but there's nothing there. You know what I mean? It's like if you you could buy a luxury car that's fast and you have, like, everything, or you could just buy, like, a 60s car that has nothing luxury inside but it's really fast and fun. And that's how this series has been. It's been fun. It's been fast-paced, a lot of them, other than Power of Three and Town Called Mercy. But there hasn't, to me, been a lot of substance in especially these last two.
Well, this one, I thought it was like... And that was, I read where they said, basically the thing was, they kind of came from it like, okay, we want an alien world, what do we have? Like, what kind of things do we have that were created for other episodes that we didn't use?
Yeah, because the costuming looked good and everything.
What's in the budget? So they just, like, took everything they could and, like, fit a story around it,
But that's fine. It's just that the story they fit around it, I didn't think was that great.
But it was like it felt to me like they took parts, like, okay, we'll throw a little bit of this in, and then we'll throw a little bit of this in, and they never bothered to, like, connect it. It was like, oh, we can create the Star Wars...
It's Peter.
Yeah, like, we can do that. And
my green screening on my YouTube show looked better than that.
So then they're like, well, we'll put one in.
To me, and the thing is, I suspended my belief on that. I mean, it was cool, whatever. Apparently there was one hell of an atmospheric bubble that, they could breathe, traveling through space on it. Mm-hmm.
And gravity, too,
what about
the rings of a planet.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable.
What about you, Joanna? I mean, what are your impressions of it? I mean, before we continue on.
I liked it. I mean, like, it was fun seeing some of the past characters come in.
Like who?
Like the past aliens. You know the aliens from the...
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
From the Doctor's Daughter. It was fun seeing that because it was something that, like, I remembered, like, from earlier, from David Tennant's time, and then I didn't really care for the mummy part, the grandfather, and it seemed something about it. It was a fun episode, but it wasn't. There's something about it. It was missing something.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, it was the plot just wasn't real fleshed out. Like, okay, so this girl's supposed to sing, and then they sacrifice her, but they do this. They've done this before, so everyone there that's seen it should know what's going to happen. But everyone was completely shocked.
Every 1,000 years.
Oh, every 1,000. Well, yeah, but there's got to be some aliens that. I mean, the Time Lords aren't the only ones that live for 1,000 years.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the thing. Well, maybe in the new series, but in the old series, books and the Big Finish audio, there were plenty of creatures that were more than 1,000 years old.
Okay.
But okay, maybe even then, but it just, I don't know.
Well, they never.
I didn't get how some people complained about her singing at the end, and I get why she was doing it. She was trying to like help the Doctor remember who he's doing it for. You know, the people of the planet, and all. I think is what they were going for with that. Because obviously her singing had no bearing on the actual what happened.
No.
I think the Doctor's speech was great that he gave. Again, I think Matt Smith does a great job delivering
Blade
those speeches.
Runner-ish, though.
What's a speech?
Yeah.
What part of it was Blade Runner?
I've seen things that you would many lists. It was straight out of Blade Runner.
Right. Yeah. Well, still, that's one of the one of the finest sci-fi movies ever made. That was considered a flop too. Go figure. But I don't know. I want to like these episodes a lot, and I do like them, but it's just.
But you don't like them.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like.
No, like I enjoyed watching it, but then when it was like how Nicole, it was like how you and your mom after the Angels episode, you both kind of sat there and you're like, "Oh, that was really good." Then you both were like, "Wait a minute, when the hell just happened?" It's kind of like that. Like I'm like, "Oh, they saved a little girl. That's awesome." I'm like, "Wait, what was the whole reason they were sacrificing her? It needed a." And then keep in mind something that's really funny to me on this whole episode. First off, he was there before, so he should have known what was going on. Number one.
He did know what was going on.
Well, he didn't know about the sacrificing part.
Oh.
Because he was just as shocked as they were when it happened.
He looked like he had like a little guidebook almost when he's like, "This is what they're saying," and then I was like, "Well, wouldn't they mention that the Queen of Years is taken away at the end of
appease? Yeah, wouldn't you? But and whatever happened to the monster that was in the glass case?
Well, that was like the biggest. Well, the vigil.
He obviously breaks out.
But look at the vigil. You've got these creepy monsters that I thought, oh, okay, they're going to be used. They're there for like 2 seconds. They have like a Harry Potter-ish wand battle.
Oh my god!
And
I'm
then
so
they
tired
disappear.
Of that. When they're using the sonic screwdriver as a crutch too much. One thing I will give John Nathan Turner's era, the Fifth Doctor, the sonic screwdriver got destroyed because they felt that the Doctor was using it too much as a crutch, and now it opens doors. It can fight against all this other. It's getting back to. It's the Harry Potter theory. It's, how do we solve this? Sonic screwdriver. Okay.
It almost literally became a magic wand there.
It was! And somebody else, Radio Free Scarrow said that same thing, made that same point. And I was like, he is so right. And, those creatures, they could have been utilized more. But, I mean, ultimately, weren't they just kind of like a space version of the Silence?
I didn't...
You know what I mean? They kind of didn't really say much. They kind of mumbled a little bit.
They whispered.
You didn't know what the hell they were really there for. Well, I mean, what were they there for? Because the girl was supposed to be taken by the priest to that room, and then the guy does his little prayer or chant while the monster takes her. But, the monster's not what takes her. He's the alarm clock to wake up the sun, which they now destroyed. So how is it? How
it was a planet.
How is that? How is anything orbiting it?
But it was a planet.
Was it a planet?
Yeah.
It looked like a
because
sun.
The Doctor said in the beginning, I was like,
Maybe
I actually watched it
a little bit.
I went back, watched the beginning again because I went, was that a sun or a planet? And he says we're in the rings around the planet.
Akhaten. Yeah, okay.
So
rings
it's
of Akhaten.
Planet.
But I mean, that's where they were. I'm assuming where they got their gravity from, and or gravitational pull, to keep them in orbit. I'm assuming that's where they got their light from. It goes dim and then they leave. I mean, am I the only one that like kind of was like, wait a minute, how?
Technically, all the people there for the ceremony, the festival,
should kind of freeze to death.
Should probably, be gone. But no, it just it had a good pace. It felt good. It was fun to watch. I didn't mind it, but I'm still waiting for another Asylum. Because Asylum actually had some depth to the plot. I mean, even A Town Called Mercy, plot-wise, there was some depth. It just wasn't a good episode. Yeah.
But too many of them have started to feel like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Which, really, what was the plot of that one?
I don't remember that one very well.
It was fun, but I think basically it was this giant spaceship is heading towards Earth because it was programmed to leave Earth when the meteorite, I believe it was, or the Doctor and the Cybermen, and Adric, crashed into the Earth and exploded, killing the dinosaurs. So that was kind of the arc to prevent it, and then to come back later on. I think that, but there's no... and I guess the plot would be that the Doctor's trying to save the dinosaurs, essentially. And
keep the spaceship from crashing into the Earth.
And the Earth. And I think that was the plot of it. It wasn't like a real in-depth one.
No.
It was better than Curse of the Black Spot. That is my least favorite episode, I think. Because there's a guy that just disappears in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
You see him in a scene, the door's locked, he disappears, they never mention him.
Nope.
He's not even at the end when they show everybody. He's just gone.
He got lost.
In a 12-by-12 room.
Yes.
With no doors. Or a door. Yeah, I mean, Rings of Akhaten, my view was, it was fun. I don't know.
No, well, I
kind of was hoping there'd be some little nod or tie-in to the Great Intelligence thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how you said with the Bad Wolf, it kind of appeared here and there. And sometimes it was subtle enough that you didn't really notice it. But by the end of the series, you're going, wait a minute, that keeps popping up. So I was kind of like assuming that there'd be some little... And there really wasn't. It was just a complete standalone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he started off creeping after Jenna Louise, Coleman's character, after Clara. And then, he completely, literally meets her as she's a little girl and talks to her and her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she does not... How do you not remember that then? Because that girl was 5 or 6. I can remember back to when I was 3. Mm-hmm. I've said stuff that my mom goes, you were 2.5 when that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure meeting a weird-looking guy with a bow tie at her age, she would have remembered. So that was always kind of bizarre to me, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all kids remember that. I mean, it was just a brief moment.
Yeah, but, you'd think there'd be something where she'd be like, something seemed you'd think she'd kind of have a hint of something then, even.
I mean, I think she does, but...
I don't know.
But she's not.
I mean, I'm nitpicking when it comes to that, I suppose. I mean, but... I really almost was hoping for a Stargate kind of Egypt tie-in episode. Mm-hmm. Because that was one of the pharaohs.
Well, they had a pyramid.
Yeah,
they had a golden pyramid.
But, so, I mean, if I was rating this on a scale of 1 to 10, it's getting it's a solid 6.5, 7. Yeah, 7. What did I give last week?
7.
I'll give it a 7. And
I'll give it 6, 7.5 because I liked it better than last.
You know what? Initially, the first time I watched it, and I text messaged Nicole that I had seen it, I said I thought it was better than last week's, but in retrospect, yeah, I guess it's a little better still.
I like last week's better.
I don't know. Or not last week's, week before.
Yeah, the first one. I like that better.
Yeah,
this one just
I kind of did. After watching it a second time, I kind of did like the Bells of St. John's better, actually. Just a little bit, though. I mean, they're both solid subs. And let's be fair. When you're counting a scale of 10, 7's not bad,
No.
I mean,
it's a good series.
Curse of the Black Spot, that's like a 4.
See, I would... I would... I don't know what exactly I'd give this one, but I would probably give it less than a 7. I didn't...
Just didn't work for you?
No. It just...
But initially, I think you said it wasn't that bad.
Initially,
Then you watched it again.
Well, initially, I told you I didn't know what I thought.
Oh,
I watched
it
the first time, and I went, I just left it going well, there were parts I liked.
This one supposedly there's supposedly 1 million viewers turned it off watching it. That's what the Sun reported, but that's kind of a tabloid paper. But, I mean, if you look on forums, if you look in news any Doctor Who news groups or anything, you listen to any other podcasts, I mean, people are completely divided about this episode, and a lot of people really didn't like it. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, I enjoyed the ride, but like I said, there was nothing there. And essentially, it almost was like last week's, because instead of him riding the motorcycle to save Clara, Clara rode it to save him, or to help save him. Mm-hmm. Although I did like some of the lines, like when he's like, I've seen bigger, and she goes, really? He goes, of course not. Have you seen the size of that thing? So... But
he fought against a star in, what is that, 42?
Yeah.
The Burn With Me episode?
Didn't he fight against Satan, basically, too?
Yeah.
A creature left from before time began.
Yeah.
He beat that thing. I love that episode. I love those kind of episodes. And most people hate them.
Impossible Planet?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I thought 42 was a great nod to, what's his name, the writer, Douglas Adams, also.
Oh.
Because not only was it was filmed in real time, but you know why they picked 42.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I mean, those were good episodes. This one, I mean, well, it's just like he could have just used the TARDIS and like fired something into it to like dissipate the.
Well, part of it is, I think, for me, obviously I can't speak for anyone else, but it didn't feel like a real world. Like, you didn't go like, oh, this is where this ceremony is important to them and this is why they do it. It was like a completely random, like, oh, we want to have some singing or something, so we're going to make a ceremony where they sing. Like, nothing felt like it fit.
There were times where they tried, like where the doctor was reading the book and saying what was happening and telling her what was happening. So there were times they tried to do it. But, like, I mean, the marketplace felt like Satellite 5 to me, which was fine. The marketplace scenes were fine. Some of the dialogue between everybody was fine. I mean, parts of it were fine. It just seemed like Joanna, did we lose you? Wow, we lost Joanna for the first time in a long time. But it just seemed like it was not... I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
For me, it didn't feel... I mean, the story didn't gel for me, and I didn't believe in the world.
It was hard to feel, and somebody else said this on another podcast, and I'm sorry I'm sure they don't listen to us anyway, but if they do, I'm sorry I'm ripping you off. If I remembered which podcast it was, I'd tell. Probably Radio Free Scarrow. They said it was hard to feel bad for the characters because these are all these, you just met these races. Mm-hmm. Like, you have no vested interest in it. They don't show, none of them look depressed or upset or...
No.
It was, and the costume, to be honest, the set design and the costuming looked fine.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it worked.
But
I didn't mind the singing and chanting, even.
But it doesn't work.
Oh, we've totally lost her now.
There was no... I mean, it didn't make sense is why wasn't the TARDIS translating? Like, the dog language. TARDIS question. Should translate everything. But Matt Smith is speaking in barks and...
That's true.
And I know, I know you could turn that into the TARDIS doesn't like her, it's not translating, but it just, there were so many things in that.
Well, it should have translated for him.
There were so many things that I just felt like it was like laziness or so, like yeah, the TARDIS doors, he didn't lock them, he just walks out. But I don't know that you could interpret that as the TARDIS locking the doors, because I feel like in an episode like that, it might have just been oversight, that nobody noticed he didn't close the doors, and then the scene required them being locked. Like, I can't read too much into what happened when I feel like everything was just kind of like, okay, oh, that'll be good, we'll lock the TARDIS door.
Yeah, I mean, why would he leave them open walking out in a crowded market area?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was done on purpose, but then they were shut afterwards. I mean, but doors shut, doors open. Mm. Joanna's gone.
Sounds like real wisdom there. Doors open, doors shut, Joanna is gone. Maybe there's a Spoonhead nearby.
Yeah.
Spoonhead got Joanna.
Yeah.
She clicked on the mysterious symboled... Wi-Fi network, and now she's gone.
When it logs back in, when I finally can get a hold of her again, that's what I'm going to say, too.
I have some major technical difficulties.
Did a Spoonhead walk in?
Pardon?
Did a Spoonhead walk in? All right, well, let's get your take real quick then on the episode.
I liked it. I mean, like, I liked it and I also didn't like it. So, I watched it again last night and I was like, I wasn't sure and I'm still not sure. Yeah. Because I want to like it, it's like you, and I want to thoroughly enjoy the magic and whimsy of the show, but I'm like, I just couldn't really focus well on it. It seemed kind of disjointed.
Yeah,
in spots.
I see what you're saying. I would agree.
I mean, like the reason I love fantasy and science fiction shows is the whimsy behind it, and I didn't get it in this one. I'm like, oh, come on.
I was saying while you were being abducted was that Radio Free Scaro, I believe it was. They said one of the guys on there, I don't know which one, said that it was hard to feel for the kid or for the people, the alien races on the planet, because you don't know them at all.
Mm-hmm.
You have no connection, even to her, other than Clara having a connection, which we don't even have a connection to Clara yet. I mean, realistically, so far I like her. So, that kind of was an issue too, because you just weren't emotionally invested in it the way you would have been, in like either a longer episode or a different episode. And then Nicole was saying,
this, I think, this kind of story could have been perfect for like the classic Who kind of story.
The 4-part, like,
because
20
I
minutes.
could totally see the cliffhanger of like the third episode being that they realize that the mummy is just the alarm clock, and now they have to face the real God.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could totally see
there
that.
There were 3 or 4 cliffhanger moments that would have been a great spot to divide it.
And then you could have had the time to, like, develop it, because you could have had the time in the beginning to learn about the culture in the first episode, and then...
See, that's what these episodes miss by being 44 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you just said. You don't get a chance to really learn about what's going on. They're trying to make these complex stories, but they don't have the time to really do it. In my opinion. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I would love to see these in 2-part episodes.
Yeah,
I mean, like, Jessica.
Even if this was a 2-part episode, it would have been great. You could have made it a little longer, learning about the culture and stuff, and then the cliffhanger would have been right when the girl's floating away.
Mm-hmm.
There's your cliffhanger. Next episode starts. Bam, it starts there.
I mean, that happens with Impossible Planet.
But you're talking about a different producer now.
Yeah, yes.
And I remember reading somewhere that Moffat does not like 2-part episodes.
Well, he needs to get up.
Did a bunch of 2-parters early on, and then he decided to...
Then he started complaining about
them,
you
had, you even had the Rebel Flesh and the Almost People. You had Day of the Moon and the Impossible Astronaut.
Who wrote those?
Not Moffat. That one, no. Moffat wrote the Day of the Moon and Impossible Astronaut.
Right.
And kind of Pandorica opens, Big Bang was continued.
The finales.
And Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone.
Right, okay, gotcha, yeah.
So he did them at first, and then he
I remember reading that he doesn't like... I don't know if it's where I read it, I don't know how true it is, because there hasn't been any in the last 2 series. And a lot of them could have been great episodes if they were 2-parters.
I think something like A Town Called Mercy, or...
I think that should not have been made.
Yes. I mean, or like Dinosaurs on an Airplane, just connected those
Spaceship.
together at one point.
You realize you said Dinosaurs on an Airplane.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I don't know if you could fit a dinosaur on a 747, let alone.
Let's do the dinosaurs on the spaceship, because...
She's a spoonhead now. Get out of the house!
I don't know where I am.
No, but I mean, okay, Dinosaurs on a
That would have been great if when we reconnected with her, she just said, I don't know where I am.
No, I mean...
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, the Silurians were the race that the guy took over, like, on dinosaurs on a spaceship, right?
He didn't take over, he killed them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're related to the... What's the other ones?
Sea Devils.
No.
The Silurians.
Oh, who's related to the ones, Madame Vastra? What is she?
Silurian.
What were the other? The other ones were called just Sea Devils? I thought they had a different name. Because remember, there was a Peter Davison episode, and they weren't Silurians, I don't think. There was something
Sea
else.
Devils, I think they were.
I don't know. I remember the doctor saying there were two. Saying there were two separate ones.
Yeah,
when they met
they're like
them the
relatives.
First time.
They're under the water.
Yeah. Where they were getting sucked into the ground, I remember Matt Smith's doctor saying that, no, these aren't the same ones. These are different, or whatever.
I mean, like, it would have been nice to have that kind of connection with, like, a past episode. Because those Silurians, I mean, like...
Here's what I think. You know what would have been really neat, seriously? Is if Harkness had been in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he was on that space, like, there, for some odd reason. Or even if it was, like, him before the Doctor met him. Like, some timey-wimey. That would have been cool. Like, he's just a cameo in the audience, and you don't notice. Like, you just kind of notice it. You're like, hey, wait, was that... Yeah, well, you know, I have great ideas. I just write, I write, like, you know, a 4-year-old. I need an editor. Like, I can write great stories, but I can't edit my own stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, I just thought afterwards, I thought this would be like, maybe you could have done this as like a classic Who, like, 4-part, because I could totally see that. I said being like the final cliffhanger, thinking that they're fighting the mummy and then realizing, no, this is just the alarm clock. Now we have to, like, that would have been a perfect segue, and then you could have had, like, a whole
I don't get how he was the
episode.
alarm clock. What does he do?
He sent that beam of
that's
light
right.
off to the planet,
And he just
and then he
screams.
just slumped
Yeah, that's right.
and was done.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of these episodes that would have been good that way or as 2-part. Asylum of the Daleks. I mean, think about it. By the time they were all together and on the planet, or not on the planet, but, you know, on the mothership, or whatever you want to call it, the lead ship for the Dalek fleet, it was already 15 minutes into the episode. And you're talking about a 45-minute episode. You have a half hour left.
Yeah.
By the time they got on the planet and got into the caves, or the tunnels, I mean, a half hour of that episode was gone. And they had 15 minutes to finish it. That, I mean...
That would have been one of the best episodes.
It was still one of the best, but yeah, if it was 2 parts, it would have been phenomenal.
Oh, it would have. Yes.
You would have, because he's on an asylum for insane Daleks where they do research and study them. You could have learned, they could have given so much lore to the Daleks right there. You know, stuff that no one ever knew before because it didn't exist. They could have had it there. You know, you could have seen whatever. I mean, so I think that should have been I think most of these could have been 2-parters. I don't think A Town Called Mercy really could have been. I don't think it needed to be.
No.
I think Power of 3 would have been better if it was. To be honest, because you could have had the build-up, and then, like, your cliffhanger moment would be when they all activated. You know, I think that would have worked.
Yeah, no, it's just this one.
And the Angel one should have been 2 parts, too.
There was a lot in that one,
Yeah.
all in a...
That would have been a good 2-parter, too.
It seems like when I was watching Power 3, it, like, so much happened, and then boom, it's like, what happened here?
It just seemed like such a lame... Like, it seems so lame that the most powerful creature, or one of the most powerful, like, creatures that's a legend in Gallifreyan lore, needed to rely on little cubes to figure out how to kill humans. Really? You couldn't have just like did a little research and seen how we do it to ourselves?
Yeah,
And then I love how he just kind of walks off and leaves the ship. I mean, he's not physically there, but he just kind of, all right, see you later, I'm out. It was like a total Dr. Evil, like, James Bond, like, evil scientist moment where they're like, oh, I expect you to die, and they leave and he escapes.
This one, though, I said I wasn't... Anything that was kind of like a reference to the past or anything, felt like it was just kind of like thrown in there as like okay, now he's going to mention Susan. See? Connecting to the past. Okay, move on.
Yeah, and I don't understand why he never mentioned her before.
No.
Was he ashamed of the fact that he left her crying on a planet that was in turmoil? But she was in love.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they didn't really explain a lot. Like, okay, she's the Queen of Years, right? Queen of Years,
the Queen
right? But
Queen of Years.
They don't really explain what she is.
Well, and
I
then,
mean, they kind of do, but not like...
Well, she was chosen as a baby when the old queen died. And then I was like, well, do they just...
Then
like,
it couldn't be every 1,000 years.
So I was trying to figure out...
Because then they'd live to be 1,000.
They don't explain. Like, I was left going, okay, does she... is it just there's the job that's like the Queen of Years, and you most of the time you
like
just
the Pope?
You just memorize the stories, and then you live out your life, and then you die, and the next person is chosen, or are people sacrificed?
Well, why was she the sacrifice and not the old one?
Well,
anyone?
I thought they were implying that, like, this just happened. The doctor kept
it's supposed
like,
to be every
this is
1,000
time
years
to wake up. So I was like, is this unusual? That was what they never explained. You're like, is this really unusual that she was taken? Do they take them every 1,000 years? Do they take them more frequently than that? Is every Queen of Years eventually sacrificed?
Well, they say every 1,000 years, so it can't be every... Well, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, that was the ceremony in the festival.
I'm not going to lie. To be honest, the promo for the series opener didn't look great. I mean, it looked okay. The promo for this one didn't really grab me. To me, didn't the Queen of All Years makeup and outfit kind of almost look like the Venice episode?
It is a little...
Not Venice. What was the one? Yeah, Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah.
Didn't it kind of look just
Pompeii,
a little eerily similar to that episode?
There was the robes and
Yeah, they must. I bet they're the same ones. But
that's what they did. They looked. What do we have?
But the promos didn't look that super for it. I mean, the episode was, like I said, to me it's average. It's not horrible, not great. But next week's looks a lot better. Cold War looks a lot better. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that turns out.
We're getting an old monster back.
Yeah, the Ice Warriors.
Except it doesn't sound like they talk the way the Ice Warriors talk.
You mean like this?
Yes.
Well, that was like what Moffat was complaining about before he brought them back. He was like, I would never bring them back. They sound ridiculous.
But that's an Ice Warrior.
They're supposed to be reptilian, and reptilian creatures talk like that. Or, no, I correct that. There's no reptilian creatures that talk. But, as far as we know. But in theory, because reptiles hiss,
yeah,
that's why they made them sound that way. Because you would think, okay, they would hiss, and when they talk.
Okay, I have a question about the Solarians on that. They're reptilian, aren't they?
Solarians, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then why they don't talk like that?
They did in the old series, I think.
Okay, like I know.
I don't remember. I don't remember, to be honest.
I don't remember how they talked.
But they were also more humanoid. I mean, if you look at an Ice Warrior, I mean, it has 2 legs.
Yeah, they're supposed to be kind of like turtle-ish, and I just that was the one thing that was a little disappointing when I heard a line spoken. I thought I only heard one line out of context by an Ice Warrior, but I went, they took away the hissing and the whispery.
No, but I mean, what do you say about this one? It's like there's been worse, there's been better, and I do think I agree with Nicole that this could have benefited from being a multi-part episode. And he disappears, and you don't know what the hell he's doing.
No, and you could have used your 3 different villains,
somewhere?
though.
I mean, what?
Yeah. But you could have used your 3 different villains then, because you could have had the Vigil being all creepy, and then you could have gone on to the alarm clock / mummy, and then you could have gone on to and you could have had
you could have had confrontations set up differently and stuff.
You wouldn't have just had a 1-minute wand duel with the Vigil before they disappear. Well, I think they said something I read was saying that it does sound like the season finale is going to lead into the 50th. So there's going to be something at the end of the finale that's...
The Doctor eats an enormous amount of Thai food and then splits in half and becomes Tennant and him. They did an online poll to see who people would want as the next Doctor, and Benedict Cumberbatch was number 1, and number 2 was David Tennant. Really? Because that's what the rumor everybody said was, he's going to regenerate back into Tennant and start going back. I'm like, no. Because not only will I stop watching, this podcast will never mention anything about New Who. If they do something that horribly just...
Well, they couldn't start going backwards, really, because there's no way Eccleston's coming back.
That's a good point.
And then once you get past there, what are they going to say? Well, yes, he's going back, but he's much older this time.
Yeah, because they've gotten younger for the most part, or at least younger looking. Mm-hmm. I want to see another assistant too. I don't want to just see her. I want to see her and somebody. I miss the TARDIS being a house with people in it.
Yeah.
I want to see a Donna kind of character, or like it's or someone who has some kind of life experience other than being in their early 20s.
You mean other than the hot 20-year-olds?
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
I want someone that's relatable. I mean, like...
Well, that's why I was hoping somehow they'd bring Jack back, like, before Tennant left. Or, like, Jack would have been in... So, you know, because Jack would have been a great assistant to have on for, like, a full series. You know, and I thought he was such an underutilized character. Same with Dick. Well, Adam was a kid. Now, you can't have two 20-year-olds running around in the TARDIS, because that's just...
No.
They're gonna. I don't know. I mean, there are. And you know what? The funny thing is with these two episodes, yeah, we didn't like them that much. I mean, we enjoyed them, but not. You know, there have been a nice amount of little things that are making you go, okay, what's coming up? Like the girl in the shop gave me your phone number. Or in this one, there was something I saw in this one. I can't put my finger on what it was.
Amy's glasses.
Yeah, you saw Amy's glasses again.
No, because
which was very mean of him not to give up.
Yeah, he wanted her to give up the thing that reminded her of her mom.
Amy's glasses have to have sentimental value to him.
I think there's a lot of nice little things. Yeah, he could have given up Amy's glasses. I don't understand why he made her give up. Here's this woman that's died twice already and, like, lost her mom as a child. Or not as a child. She had a teenager. Yeah. You know, and you make her give up her ring. But it was nice that she got it back at the end.
Yes. Although it seemed like...
Did you notice how the leaf was a completely different leaf than the first time? It was like 4 times the size. It didn't look like a maple leaf anymore. Which makes me wonder now, what in the... What? And did it completely dissolve? I mean, she doesn't have it anymore, right?
Yeah.
And how did that kill the planet?
Because it had...
It couldn't handle the potential of the future?
It had infinity in it because of all the unlit...
that's what I thought.
But I don't think that even really makes... Because you're going to tell me nobody on that planet ever gave up when they were offering... They all made their offerings of their sentimental objects, remember?
No, but she offered it to the planet to say instead. They were using sentimental objects as currency. It had nothing to do with the planet.
But then they all hold up at the ceremony. They all hold up their objects, and she goes, "What is that?" And the doctor says they're making an offering, and then it disappears, the stuff in their hands.
Yeah.
So nobody ever gave up something that belonged to someone who died young?
She's a very special person. Oh, you know, remember I said that there were no episodes in the first series I didn't like? I take that back. Father's Day I could do without. Because now in Father's Day, there's a car that kills her dad. Mm-hmm. Now, if you watch the episode where her father gets saved by her mother, they're saying it's the same car. Except the headlights look different. But they're saying it's supposed to be the same car. They just couldn't.
Or perhaps it's just the same car because that's the car the BBC has that dates back to that period. So. But
that was a different time period.
It still seemed to be like 80s-ish.
Oh no, it would have been the same because her and Rose are would be about the same age. Yeah, you're right. It'd be about the same time period.
And that was even a little before because her parents were meeting. She wasn't born yet.
Yeah, so that's right.
You don't know how long they dated before they got married.
That's a good point. No, but you're right. It would be about the same time period. Yeah. I think it's the BBC recycling stuff to save money for the 50th. Because I think the cloaks were the same from the Venice or the Pompeii episode.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine by me because they were kind of cool. I liked them.
They a lot of the alien creatures they said were ones that were used before. I mean, I recognize some of them, and which is fine because that's how it should be. Mm-hmm. You know, there's only going to be so many races with interstellar travel. Mm-hmm. Cold War is what's going to really kick the series up a notch. Is what I'm hoping.
And what's after Cold War?
Is it Hyde?
It's either. Be Hyde or
it's either Hyde or
Journey to the Center.
Oh, it could be Journey to the Center to TARDIS, and that one looks like that's probably going to be pretty good too. So I mean, it looks like the next couple are going to really bump it up a notch before the finale, which would be nice. Because, like I said, these two have been fun, but there hasn't been like when you step back and actually look at it, you're going, huh? Or at least I was. But I'm done. I'm done with my rant about it.
Actually, it's called Hyde, so the next one after Cold War.
And I believe that's the one that takes place in the mansion in Victorian England, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And then I think after that is maybe
Journey to the Center of TARDIS and the Cybermen, and then the finale. There's one more, I think.
There's one more before Cybermen.
Yeah, and I can't think of what it is.
Crimson.
That's it. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crimson War.
I want to see like how they're gonna like do the rest of the series, because it's like usually shows come out with such gusto and then it's like fizzles out in the middle and then.
But isn't it really how Series 6 was?
Mm.
I mean, the last 3 episodes of Series 6, you could have done without. I mean, was The Wedding of River Song really that good an episode?
No.
In fact, I don't even know if I ever saw the whole episode.
No, I
mean, the one with the guy from the one with the Lodger Part 2, it's all right.
I liked that one, but wasn't
you know what made it likable was his interaction with Craig.
Yeah.
That's what made it likable.
I think Craig would have been a good companion, but I know he's got
a
busy schedule. He's not gonna.
Yeah.
No, because he's a good
He would have made he would have been good.
Yes. I think he and his wife would have been good together.
I think they need to stop having, when they have multiple assistants. I think they really need to stop having one be a bumbling idiot. Like when Rory first got there, he was a complete idiot. Mickey was a complete idiot, and then all of a sudden by the end of it, they're like hardened soldiers from come on.
Yeah,
I what I like about John Louise Coleman, she's likable right now. Her character's likable. Clara to me is likable, just like Rose was originally. I really liked Rose originally, the first 2 series or so, maybe not the first 2, maybe the first one for sure, and part of the second, because she left at the end of the second, right, and came back, but I didn't care for her when she came back too much, and near the end of her first run, she was getting, I don't know, I just didn't care for her much.
Well, I thought she was good with Eccleston.
I think so.
Because she
there was
no
love interest there.
No, and
it was the way it should have been.
And it was she was like a good balance for his more serious,
because you saw
intense, brooding nature.
Yeah, because you saw him open up sometimes and look at her and change what he was saying and become more emotionally connected in one sense, but not in a relationship sense, I guess. He really took her under his wing more, is what it seemed like.
He was more like the father figure that she needed.
Yeah, which I think was great.
Because we all know that she lost her dad at a very young age.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way of putting it, and I think that's how it should have stayed. But I think so many people wanted her and Tennant. I think people get blinded by the fact that they're like, oh, her and Tennant make such a good couple together. On the show, they should hook up. It's like, no, they shouldn't. You don't need that.
No, because it's just wrong, because
then it turns into a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's not Doctor Who, then it's General Hospital. But I don't know.
Still with doctors, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm done for sure. I got nothing else. You guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
I was just going to say the other thing they stuck in there at the end of Rings was that in his speech he referenced all those past episodes. I was like, that was the other little thing they threw in.
And the Time War.
But I was like, oh, so they did stick in one other little reference to past, because you could go through at the end of the world. He was there at the end of the universe in Doomsday, or not Doomsday, I didn't mean that, Utopia.
He left the universe in The Doctor's Wife.
Yeah. The universe of the controlled by a madman. I was like, ooh, we're referencing Hartnell era there, and Celestial Toymaker and Mind Robber, and
I love how they're dropping.
3 Doctors, probably.
I do really love. Yeah, Omega. I'd love to see him come back.
Yes.
Did you notice how that was the same? That was almost the same mask they used in, I think, Pyramids of Mars for the one guy.
Yeah.
I will say that all those little references make me happy.
I think this is like we need to look back at the earlier episodes with Amy and Rory to see what is building up to the 50th, because see what of those references we could find.
I don't think there were really any.
Okay.
No.
To be honest, I think there were a lot of nods to the classic series, just because that's what Moffat grew up with. I think maybe.
I think the second half is going to be such huge nods to the classic Doctors.
For sure.
I mean, like,
I mean, you're going to have to since you snubbed them all.
Yeah. I think these were written before. I don't know. I hope they weren't snubbed purposely. I hope it's within good reason, because...
I'm still hoping that somehow they're...
Listen, there's a hologram of Tupac on stage that looked realistic. You can make these guys look young.
Yeah.
But
I'm still hoping somehow they're all part of some elaborate...
hoax?
Yeah. To make sure nobody knows that they're... Because
they could have filmed scenes before they left in a warehouse or
if
something.
They just
you never know.
Yeah, it would just mean they're not, like, in throughout. They could have, like, a scene... But they could have, like, a scene in there, and then they could have already filmed that. They could be filming it later. I mean, the 50th doesn't go out
till
November.
I was going to say October, yeah, November.
So. Maybe September, because you have to go through that editing process.
Yeah, but if it's just a short scene, you could throw it in real quick.
Okay.
I mean, I would think.
I would assume they aren't going to do it at the very last minute, but they...
Oh, sure.
But they have time if they wanted to, like... Or if they wanted to use their voices in some way, they could call them in to do a voiceover at any time. They don't have to be there.
If you do a voiceover in a studio in Australia and mail it or email it or file transfer it over.
Even though I know logically it would say that they are not involved, I still keep hoping that maybe.
Same here.
But you also have like all this. They're airing episodes from all the Doctors, the classic Doctors. I mean, what's going to happen? Because you have all of this celebration.
And then the 50th doesn't have any of them in it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes no sense. Because
it's like, hey, we appreciate all the work you did over the last 50 years, and here's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, and they're showing these really great episodes and stories, and yet, I don't know. I hope it...
Yes.
So that was our. We talked about Rings of Akhaten. We talked about the 50th a little bit. Hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate you guys joining us. And we will be back with our. We'll talk about Cold War, and we'll talk about the Don't Blink Doctor Who burlesque show, which some of us are going to see tomorrow.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
You're gonna. It sucks you can't go, but you know what? Our good friend Phil's filling in for us. So
yes, he's the first person that came to my mind, and I know he is the perfect person to do that, to fill in.
I got along really well with him when I met him, so I think it'll work out.
He's a really chilled and laid back guy. Because he's around all these crazy people, and yet he's very chilled.
Yeah, he seemed like he was great. So we'll talk about that, and it'll be a surprise to you guys, just as it will be a surprise to Joanna. So
yes,
we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us.